Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Known Classics. This is episode number 2104 and Doubleshot 1998. 10 years old that year, me. Alright, this one basically discussing two Batman trades. This first one was actually released in 2021. The other, of course, is issues that came over the course of, in the 80s and, of course, the 2000s. First up we have is Batman the Detective. Yes, that is the name of this book. Now, from what I heard anyways, this book was originally to be called Batman the Dark Knight. That was the original name of the series. It was going to be the third volume for that title, and they decided to change the detective for some reason. It's not really clear exactly why they changed the name for, though it could be because basically the previous volume, my guess is DC would worry about the sales of the series. That is my personal theory. I don't know. If you're curious, who writes this book, you might ask? Why, it's the current writer who writes Nightwing. And more John Kent stuff. Tom Taylor. Yep. And of course, the artwork is shockingly done by an artist who has been heavily associated with Batman for years, Andy Kubert. Yep, that's interesting. I like the fact that they brought back Andy Kubert, which I think this was the first time he actually did a Bat book since, to my knowledge, I think the last time I could think of, I think it was an issue of Batman and Robin when Peter Tomasi wrote the book, because I believe they took an issue off. I think it was the opening story arc of Robin Rising, where they brought him in, because he was listed as because he's one of the co-creators of Damian Wayne. Well, the way we think it was Damian Wayne, and he's brought in as a fill-in artist for Patrick Gleason. That was the last time I could think of he was associated with the title. Last series he was part of, from start to finish, was his own mini-series he did, which was Damian, Son of Batman. A mini-series that was quite interesting. Now you might notice that the Bat costume looks a little different, especially him having a freaking cape. Now you probably like, oh, is that Big Ben in the background? Yes, because in these issues, Batman goes to the United Kingdom. And he teams up with Knight and Squire. Now, I should point something out about Knight. Knight in this book is not the original one who made a debut back in the 60s as Batman All Nations. Oh, no. Not that one. It is the female version of the Knight character, the one who was former Squire Beryl. Yep. Yeah, so we have a nod to Grant Morrison here with this one, which I do appreciate Tom Taylor acknowledging the fact this is Beryl, not the guy version who was the predecessor. It's actually scratched. I think this was the third Knight, because I think the first one was killed years ago. Yeah, and Knight, there's technically been 3 characters who assumed the name. Yep, there has been. And you're thinking, really? Oh yeah, really. The original one was Percy Sundrake. He's been dead since Jedi Classified number 2. Then you have, apparently he was previously known as, he at one point was known as Squire. Now, Knight is basically the Batman, is the UK version of Batman. That's mostly what he's there for. Citadel was the Knight people saw from the Modern Age. The one who Grant Morrison, killed off. Yep. He's dead. He got killed off during the second volume of Batman Incorporated. Yep. Yeah, I don't really know why he decided to kill him off for, but he did. But that's why he killed him off. Apparently, first appeared in the second issue of Batwoman. Now, in the case of the character, he's written to be very similar. Now, Beryl, who is the current Knight. Yeah, Beryl Hutchin, in the pre-continuity, was Squire. She was the second Squire. Yep. who first appeared in jail like number 26. She is definitely a Grant Morrison character. And of course, because Grant Morrison killed off her predecessor, Knight, the second one, she's here, and of course she's with her, the current Squire. Yes, the current Squire is Amina Inko. Yes, she is the current one, and she made her debut in this book. Yep, brand spanking new sidekick. Knights Incorporated. The best way to describe this group is that they're, well, the UK's version of Justice League. They appear for a couple issues, and that was simply it. Yeah, and this miniseries is just pure fun. I personally loved it. I thought Tom Taylor did an excellent job. Now, this is, of course, around. I think the book was released at the same time he started his run for Nightwing, and I think at the time that was the only book. Then of course, not long after this book concluded, he got the Superman Son of Kal-El series, and I think he's done one more miniseries, Batman. That's been it. But this was the first one he ever did. And you think he has any more besides this one? There are Batman Limited Series. Well, you might be aside from this one at the same time, well, he does Dark Knights of Steel limited series. Yep, he is the writer of that. He still does frickin' Deceased. My gosh, he's been doing this book for years. But in the case Batman miniseries, aside from this one, the only other Bat book he worked on was, well, Dark Knights of Steel, which I previously reviewed. That's an excellent series. Yeah, I own the first trade for that. Get this miniseries has not been concluded yet. You thinking, really? Yeah, it's not finished yet. Nope, not really. Yeah, but this book is utterly fantastic. Let me show you some artwork here for this book. Like, here's Batman, his cool coat he wears just for this miniseries. And look, here's a flashback of Knight and Squire. Yeah, and basically kind of this book is kind of a nod to some Batman stories. Yes, and this is how Andy Cooper draws Batman. Look at that gorgeous depiction of the Batcave. With the Joker card and the dinosaur. Yeah. This, of course, is sort of a minor time. This basically is set during the Tinnief stuff, where Batman can't use his management anymore because a lot of his money takes to the Joker. So he leaves. He goes to the UK. And here is Squire making her debut appearance. Yep, this, of course, is a brand new Squire. Yep, and then, of course, you have these white Batmen. Yeah, these white bats. This could be a nod to Frank Miller's Sons of the Bat. That's kind of what this group is. The whole thing of him with goggles, I believe that's a nod to possibly Gotham of Gaslight. Possibly, I'm not really sure. But I found this series to be quite interesting to read. And it's definitely it's a good book. Mm-hmm. But yeah, excellent. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Next up is something I never thought I would discuss this book. We have Batman, King Tut's Tomb. And unlike the last book I've discussed when it comes to Batman Confidential, by the way, the series collects issues from it, this trade collects 3 issues in that series, 26, 28, along with Brave and the Bold, number 64 and 71, and Batman 553. This I have been eagerly waiting to talk about. King Tut. Now, this, of course, is obviously set during Batman's early years. There's no Robin here. So it could be late into Batman's second year. That's possible you can set this because there's no Robin. And you have Riddler acting like a good guy, which is a bit out of character for him, but that's how the thing is written. Now, the book itself is written by Well, the issues of Batman Confidential are done by Ned Phillips and Christian Weir with Jose Luis Garcia-Lopez. I met him. He very nice to meet. Now, the other books are done by another guy I have met, Jerry Conway. Yes, Jose Luis Garcia-Lopez does all of the artwork in the book. Now, Jay Lamontius does the Brave Bold issue, the first one. The second was done by Jerry Conway, and the last slab was also by Jerry Conway. Mostly put, King Tut Tomb is basically DC introducing King Tut for the Batman 6 TV show. In that one, he was a chunky guy who was an archaeologist who got hit in the head and think he was King Tut. And he was just crazy because of that particular hit in the head. This book, he was kind of insane prior to becoming King Tut. Also, because of the fact the artists like doing this, by the way, this is how King Tut looks in the comic. He looks like the way that most people like to depict him. Now, in the show, the actor was kind of chunky and think he was King Tut. And he looked like he wore a toga, or at least Egyptian version of a toga. Here, he's dressed like a traditional Egyptian depicted, with the loincloth, the staff, and the guy is more violent. Oh, also, he has no henchmen. He's basically insane because, and here's the thing. The guy who becomes him, this professor explained in the flashback, which here he is. Yeah, it's pictured here with a frickin' six-pack. Yep, just cuz. Now, is he the same person? I think his name's Victor or something. I don't remember his last name, but is he like the same character from the show? Let's see here. Victor Goodman. Which, no, that was not his real name in the show. It was William McCurry. Which I think they took the appearance of this version from Fair Coffey, who appeared in a one-shot issue, Batman 508. And here's the strange thing, though. Victor Goodman does appear in the current continuity where he appeared first appeared in an issue of Harley Quinn. Yeah, 2 issues of Harley Quinn, Villa Rear the Villain, and DC Loves Battlefield. And that's it. The original version of the character made his debut in this 3-part storyline. And you know the weird thing is, the guy has never returned. No, seriously, he has never returned after this one. Never in pre-Flashpoint continuity. In post-Flashpoint, he appeared very few times. Like I said, 2 issues of Harley Quinn, Riddler, Rear the Villain, and DC Loves Battlefield. And that's it. That's all the guy has done. Yeah. So, in this story, King Tut is killing people. Yes, King Tut is picking this book as a serial killer, not some crazy criminal like he was in the 60s show. He's killing members of his board of museum who don't believe in his theory, and he basically calls them idiots and just basically being incompetent. The fact that they barely don't care about history at all, they only care about filling their pockets. And he proceeds to murder them all. And his co-worker, who apparently has got a thing for him, he kept calling him Victor, and he's like, I'm not Victor. I'm King Tut. And becomes this after getting hit in the head. He came up with a theory in this book that King Tut was murdered. Now, okay. In case you're curious, though, is that based upon a real-life theory related to King Tut's death? Yes. That is 100% completely true. That was a theory, because that was a popular theory related to King Tut's death, because the guy died at a very young age. I believe it was 18 when he died. Yes, he was on King a very short period of time, and this is why I read about him. And he died, and the mask that he wears is pretty much the same mask, kind of depicted as basically the actual Egyptian golden mask that he would wear, that was put on top of his mummified body in his tomb. And of course, about the curse of King Tut. That's of course related to the real life curse. Because here's the strange thing. Anybody who was associated with the excavation of King Tut's tomb all died within like 2 years after discovered. Like the guy who actually financed the excavation died of a very deadly beetle bite. The guy who actually found the tomb died horrifically. Yes, so I read him and seen documentaries of what happened with King Tut's tomb. I believe the guy's name was, I know that Tut is short for Tutankhamun. Yes, that's what his name is. The thing with him, the guy who found his tomb, the guy had been searching for years for this tomb. Like, I think it was like a long freaking time he looked for this guy. He looked for his tomb. Was found in 1922 by a guy named Howard Carter. Yep. And he died. Like, well, actually, he died quite later, but yeah. And the exhibition, I had always wanted to see the exhibition in real life, but never got a chance to see it. And apparently, King Tut himself is actually back in his old tomb. And also, this what I find interesting about the tomb of some of the documentaries I found out. Apparently, people are no longer allowed to visit the tomb, like go inside of the damn thing to look around. The reason being, is it for the curse? No! The reason is because the hieroglyphic walls are falling apart. That's the reason why. You can look at the tomb from the outside, like you can look inside the tomb a little bit, but that's all you can do because the tomb is literally falling apart due to basically exposure to the atmosphere. Yes, during the almost, like, pretty much, by the way, it's been like 100 years since this tomb was discovered, and it's literally falling apart. Yeah, I never thought I would discuss my King Tut in one of my videos. I mean, I love reading about King Tut when I was a kid, and I kept this knowledge for years, and now, well, we have Batman find King Tut. He, of course, battled him. He gets taken to jail. In pre-Flasher continuity, he was never seen again. I'm not kidding. He just appeared in this one story, and that was it. Never mentioned in a book. Nothing. His girlfriend apparently became version of Isis. Actually, no, became version of his late wife because apparently King Tut actually married a teenager. Which, here's the strange thing about it. His wife was his half-sister. No joke, she seriously was. Because the Egyptians love basically doing incest. Yes, they love having it where the pharaoh marries their sister. Yep, they apparently love doing this so much so that the Greeks, when they became rulers of Egypt, they adopted pretty much the same policy from what I heard, where the guy who became the first Greek pharaoh of Egypt married his sister. I am not kidding about that. Yeah, the whole thing with the Egyptian, like, records of the past, some of them basically are just, well, how should I put this? Like, most of them pretty much a lot of is somewhat incomplete. Mostly. But this whole story is really good, and this is so exciting reading the same thing. And seeing the Riddler depicted competently, not as a joke. He's not giving riddles, he's actually helping Batman, which is so awesome. And I love the story itself. Now, in the case of the other stories picked in here, which, by the way, have nothing to do with King Tut at all. Nope, not really. This first one had Brandon Bowie, where Batman teams with Hawkman. Well, it's all about a museum. It's just a really fun story. The other one where and this I thought was real. My only guess is the reason why they included this other story in here. First story I can see, but this one, wow, it's like, oh, let's include Scalp Hunter, a Western here, and do a bit of time traveling in the middle of Supposedly the Civil War, but not really. Yeah, this all do with Professor Noah. Professor Noah was a guy who liked to send Bruce Wayne back in time. This was a common thing in the Bronze Age of comics, and Jerry Conn wrote the story. Yep, this is from Brave and the Bold, number 171. Now, what is the purpose of this story? Just time travel. Yep. Oh, by the way, the guy's name's Carl Nicholas. Yep. First appeared in World's Finest '79. That was his first appearance in Earth 1. He actually made his first appearance back in issue 24. Yes. Which this version of the character only appeared 28 times. He mostly appears as a recurring character in Batman. Yeah. He had this thing with saying Batman back in time because this was basically a Silver Age thing. Now you might be asking, was this book his last special appearance before DC just retired the character for a long time? Well, one of his last no appearances, let's see, it came in 81. Let's see, September. Well, it's one of his last known appearances. Not exactly his final appearance per se, but yeah, it's just basically just a time travel story. But yeah, still standard Brave and Bold stuff. Now, what about the last story in here? The one from the issue from Batman. Well, this one here. I got the cover here. It's mostly Batman taking on the Joker. Yep, takes on the Joker. Yeah, and another story done by Jerry Conway. Which I love the way Garcia-Lopez basically draws the Joker. It's really good. Long freaking chin. It's mostly just deal with the Joker and then Joker's wild schemes. He gets beat in the very end. But that's it. But this book is really good. I love it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's awesome. Yep. And you might be curious, though, when it comes to Batman Confidential. Okay. How many more, let's say, books are left to cover for Batman Confidential? If you really want to know, just covered King Tut's Tomb. I have exactly 2 more trades left, and that's it. No, seriously. It will be it. Yep. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much a particular review. Next up is going to be a review for Blue Exorcist, and then be on to Don't Tell Me It's Not Grow, okay? Review. Bye.